you're going to use transform map when you're trying to, after you import your data, it creates a table. I was asked this question in an interview, and a question comes like this. When you're trying to import a data, so for most of you, when you are done with this program, you can become, the next program to do is your developer. When you get your developer certificate, which is card, when you get your card, you might decide which of the module you want to specialize on. You might specialize on CMDB. It might be a specialist on item, which include how to discover software, hardware, whatever you have using Meet Server, and how to relate them to business applications. That's where you go to your mapping, right? And event and all that. So event management and everything, yeah, still inclusive in item and all that. So now what I was trying to say was about your CMDB. So I did apply for one position, one CMDB position in one of the companies one time, and the question I was asked is, when you import data, the table which you where you import from first of all, and the table you are sending to, are they the same? That was the question. And that was the next thing they asked me is, when you create a table, what do you get in what name do you get there? And that's your import. So when you go to import, click on import, do you create that table or you can add? Yes, you can create the table. If you have not, you cannot have an existing table. Like when I mean existing table, is that part of your table input, right? Is a place where you just hold that information. That's like a safety protocol for ServiceNow. So ServiceNow will not want you to just import data and post the data directly to the table. So they will first of all create a different place for you, bring that data and leave it there, right? When you have that data there, before you move that data to the required table you want to move the data to, are you seeing the process? That is where you have your transform map. Now, during that your transform map process, you've moved what you've gotten from that first table to the next table, right? Now, at that process also, you're able to mash the data, match the tables. So where you have name, you match it to name. That's where you call your auto mapping there. So you map the name, you can do it manually, and that's where we have colosense. Yeah. And I was asked, what is colosense? And colosense basically is just saying, if you have a table and you are trying to upload that your data into that your table, right? Now there is a column there. If you make that column, make it true, in other columns, make it true, it means that for it to update that table, your initial table in ServiceNow. So I'll put a name to it. Take for instance, I have an Excel sheet that is A. Now in ServiceNow, I have a table already, which is B, right? That is the ServiceNow table I have created. Now, instead of me typing everything manually, I just want to get the data from that B and put it inside A, right? Now, what ServiceNow will do is this. When you have that A you want to put in ServiceNow, ServiceNow will not allow you directly to send it to B. ServiceNow will create one AB at the center between A and B. So we have AB at the center, then we have B. Now, when ServiceNow do that, you will post what you have in A to AB, right? And you would have to map whatever you have in B to AB. Now, when AB want to update B, if there is any name, any column that is colors, meaning that AB will check first. This party, for instance, this name, I want to update this field. Do we have this name before? If the answer is yes, instead of the field to create new field on that your B, it will update. So that is the essence of that colocence. It's just for update purpose. So instead, because anytime you add a table, you import data. Anytime you add it, what you get is you are creating a new field. But because of that colocence, it will just update itself, right? So that is the proper explanation for that. And before that, some persons were saying about the table creation and all that. Go and watch is it the sixth video? I know I did the explanation for that table before, trying to use form builder, but I didn't finish it up. I was just a bit sketchy about it. But the next class I had was it like the sixth class, the assignment that I gave you guys, because I had to give you another one because I've done the first assignment. Now, that first assignment I gave, I did not specify the field type. So people were just creating different field type. I did not specify it. That's why I had to use that as an example. So I went through all the questions. I answered them one by one, and I created a table from scratch, right? Using form builder. I use list layout for basically for dot working because I could not do that on a form builder. So I had to go to list layout to do the dot working, right? So I was able to display that. So if you go back to if you go back to my video and go through that, you see how tables are being created from scratch, right? You just need to understand when you go to form builder, if you have created a table already in form builder, it will just take you straight to the architect of that table. At that point, you are the developer. That's the back end. Whatever you are doing there, the front end is not going to see the rough work of what. That's why some people you see 1, 2, 3, 4 on integers. Take note, the basic things you need to use when you're creating your table, they are what you have to use your integers, integer and string. Now, for fields that include number and alphabet, go for your string all the time. Don't use integer because integer is strictly numbers. Now, sometimes when you go and use journal, you don't use journal because journal contain long text. So whenever you use journal, you're expecting a very large chunk of words. If you don't have that, the shape of your field you created will be different from the other ones. Now on team builder, you have a one column, you can make it two column, you can create them in columns and merge them together. It will still come out nice. So take for instance where we are giving the form design should be a long like template, long template, and you should have short ones, another long ones. You can't just easily put everything there and get it once. You have to break them in. You just create them in each of their tab, create the tab, create all of them. Then after that, you can merge all of them together. So how did we start this whole class generally? We started from creating users. Now, what you should know is everything relates. So between your table and your users and all that. Now, how it does it relate? If you know how to create your table, you know that these are people in your group, like a work. A department have people that are working there. So if you don't know how to create your users, if you don't know how to create your group, you don't know how to create your role, you will not be able to create that the people that are there in that department, right? Now after that, that table helps them store their information, right? Now import set help the department import data from different sources down to that table, which that department will use. Are you seeing the relationship now? Now, ACL, access control, what does it do? How does it help a department? Access control help the department to restrict people visibility to things that they can have access to in that department. So if you see I am making what we're doing, you can see that there's there's a relationship that like it's just a continuous process. It's not where you do one and say, oh, this one does not. They all intertwine. They relate to each other. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and there's something I want to display for you guys. I think the last class we had it, and I knew I had to check what was really wrong and make sure I fixed the blocker before I came to the class, which was all sorted. So what I was trying to um, work on was making you guys see how ACL really does help a department, right? You need to see how ACL really help a department. And how does ACL help a department? You can restrict people from what they can see and what they cannot have access to, right? So I'm going to be sharing my screen. Mhm. All right, guys, can you see my screen? Okay, that's good. I like the response to do. You're encouraging. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay. All right. Now, what I'll be doing today is just because whenever I teach, you need to see the practicality of what you've learned so that you can have it's because the visualization of things, it's store more information in your memory than just read and someone just tell you this is what you're doing and all that. So the last time I worked on ACL, right, where I said I have this holographic handheld HHD. Now, this is what I created, right? I created this one. Now, all these things we know we call them, they are all under what your application menu, right? You can create a new application menu if you want, and you can create a model. All these ones under this application menu, they are models, right? And to create them, you can just go to application. I know I did not emphasize more on this. Um, Application menu. Oh, just a bit slow. All right, so application menu. Why would you talk about application menu? When you have a table, most times, how do you go to your table without stressing? I'll still go to my class, but I know I did not really emphasize more on this one. So if you go to your table creation, I'll just give it a minute for it to load. If you go to your table creation, right, at the right side of it, you see where they write create new. Do you want an application module for this? Like there's a place you will tick yes or no. Now that is you creating an application module where you can easily access your information. So instead of you going to table first, and before you go down and pick that table you've created, and you see other things like show form and all that, from your application menu you can easily just go straight and get all the information you need. So if you click on application menu, right, these are different menus. What I do is this. if i if I've created a menu before, I always come to this update in case you are looking for anything you have created. I come to this update. I click A to Z. A to Z means it should start from the first date of creation to the last date of creation. Now this one will give it an orderly pattern. After I click that, I just come down to Z to A. Now you are going to see, guys, that I have created an application menu already before, where we have one as holographic and all that. Now you can also create your own. You click on new. When you click on new, you put the name of the application, the title. If you have a row, you can attach a role to it. Now, what's the essence of this role? The essence of this role is, if when we go to that part of saying, if Robert is in IT group, right, and James is in support group, right? If we have, if we give them access, will James, for instance, they have equal roles, right? Maybe they have this. We're creating a new table. Let's call it loan app HRO, which contain read access, write access, create and delete. Right now, how are we going to know that these people have such access? So is the that restriction, if they don't have this application menu role, they will not be even able to see this menu on the application menu bar. But if they have the role, they can see it. Now, the issue I had the last time was because I did not tag the role I created to a table. Guys, when you create a role, you need to tag it, you need to link it to a table. That is when, if you apply ACL, it will work. But if it does not have a link to any table, how will it how will it help you to work, saying that, oh, I'm not giving access to this person, right, on this table, and you just attach just a row? That row will be irrelevant, because first of all, you did not design, you did not configure your row properly. Now, your menu bar, you can create a menu bar from here. Just add a row to it, leave it at custom application, and just click on save. That is it. Right? You don't need any other thing again. So take for instance, I want to add a menu for loan app. So I'm just going to say loan app. Now, does loan app have a loan? Have a row? I can check and say ITEL row. So I'll go to ITEL. This is ITEL. I can give it an ITEL row and just move it, right? If that's what I want to give, that's what I'm giving. I leave this as custom application. Take note, guys, always make sure your int, you need to put something on your int and description. This int, if you see the text on top, this text appear in the two tips when a user went to the application menu. So if you go to your application menu, when you put your cursor there, it's already going to give you a tip on what you are doing. That's the essence of the int. Now, description is good. Always take note. Description is good for every job, because when someone leaves a company and another person assumes that position, it's easy for them to know what you have created because of the description. Every company, they hold it like it's a very important um folder where people must always make sure they feel when they are creating a table or a row and all that. So it is very important when you are doing stuff like that. All right. Sorry, just a minute. Sorry, guys. All right. So with that, so I could just say for loan app demo. Obviously, the description is why you're building the loan app, what the loan app before, and all that. So you just click on submit. Now, when you click on submit, you see I've given it a role, it's true, it's active, and all that. Now, I can come back to this loan app, my demo app now. You would see that they have a module under it. That module is what you see here. So if you say, okay, let me just go to hologenic or Yeah, that's what hologenic. I'm using what I've created. Now under hologenic, you can see this is the application what menu. Now under the application menu, you have your modules, right? Each of these modules. So this is the module. I can click on any of the module. You can create that here also. Now, when you create a module, you are linking the application menu to the table, right? So your module could be new. You can just say new. So if anybody want to create new form, you can just say new list. So when you click on new list, you are going to see all the list. You are going to see all the so a list is like a group of all the rows, right? Or each row that have been created. So you bring them all together. You can see a list view. Now you can put an order. This number tells you how you want it to present here. So if I put, for instance, I go to holographic. Now you can see we have holographic here. We have user demo, and we have create new. Now I can change these positions of each of them with that number, with this number you are seeing. So if I put 0, now in ServiceNow, when it comes to order, the list number take precedence over the higher numbers. So anything that comes with 1, it has to be first before 10, before 20, before 40. Now it's advisable that when you are using that order, you have to make sure you can use 1 to 10, 20, 30, 40, because you might have reason to add more field, right? Now because you've used that numbering, you've created space for you to add it. You can use 5, 10, 15, 20. Just use a sequence that gives you space to create room for additions, right? So if we say, for instance, 10, and that's it, like the int also gives you an int of the whatever you're doing and all that. So it's left for you. Now, if you want to attach a row to it also, you can add a row. But because it's already on your application menu, it's going to automatically take everything down. Whatever row that the application menu has, that is what's going to fall down to it. But you can also create it if you want to. Now, the most important part in this whole creation of your model is linking the type. What do you want to display? If I'm trying to display new list, then I should go for list record. But if I'm trying to create a new form, I'll go for new record. If I want to run a report, I can here can be my report. So what I'm trying to do is a report. So run a report. Now that is the link type. You have to link it to a type, right? You have to link it to a type. Now when you link it to a type, if you say your list record, you click on that. You have to link it to a table also. Which, okay, the list record that you want to have a view, you want to click on your new list, you want it to display the list record of what. Now you want it to display the list record of which table exactly. So that is where you attach a table to it. So you can choose a table for this one or anything. Just click anything. So I'll just go with this one first. Should I go with this? No, I've used that for something else before. So we can even use incident table. You can go for incident. It's just a demo. I'll delete it after I'm done. Now, all these other parts, they are not important. No one's going to ask you to fill them. But more specifically, you can view the names, right? You can add a condition. Now, most times you see add filter condition, add or clause, right? You have an operation, value operation and all that. So now, if for instance, why I want people to have a list view, I want to restrict some things, right? I can do that on this my choice, on this filter. You get, so if I click for instance and say active is true, right? Now my list view will only display where active is true. If active is false, will not come. When you click on list, new list, you will not see any information on where active is not true. So with this filter condition, I can still restrict people to what they can see based on the role that is given here. Right? Does that make sense, guys? Okay, so this is how to create. All right. Do you have a question, Kunle? Kunle, do you have a question? All right, okay. Okay, so this is an application module. Why I just want to explain, because when you create your table, so I'm just going to give you, so if I click on submit, for instance, and say submit, right? I'll just have to refresh it. And if I come here, I click on loan. Now, guys, you can see we've created an application and we have a list view on it, right? Exactly. So that is how to resolve that. Now, when you go to your table, and so someone said instead of coming here to find table, you can come here and type table also, which is true. You don't use this because you're going to search through everything, right? This is like a long search. When you go through your table here, this is a long search of what you are going to get. You're going to click. So if you click on index table now, see where it takes you to. So look at what this one is even giving you table for service catalog, right? So but you are not searching for anything, right? So it depends on things you've lost. Maybe you are trying to find one file that you create and it's giving you hard time finding. You put it here for you. This is a wider search. Or like I say, you can just come here, come back to or go to your table, and under system security, you click on table, system definition, sorry, you click on table. Now, I just want to show you where the application module comes in. If you see this place, guys, create a module, create a mobile module, right? You might not need this mobile module. So when you hear mobile in ServiceNow, it's just like saying it's a version for those that want to use their phone also to access ServiceNow. So if you don't have a mobile version, once you open some things on your mobile phone, that's when you have this, you now start looking for a particular column to click send, and you have to push it to the other end because it's not be configured to your mobile. It is not give you a mobile module, right? It's not configured to your phone. So some things might be big, some might be small. This is different interface you're using. So if you have a mobile interface, it's easy. If you configure it with a mobile interface, you can use your phone and access everything because it's going to be built in that, it's going to be created in that to suit your mobile phone. So if you click on create module, now this is a add a module. This is what I just did. You can add a module here, right? So you can see application global or school. Like I said, you can create your own application. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to create application. Now, so this is the part I just want to explain. That's what I just explained now, saying this thing comes with when you're creating your table. But if you missed it, you can go to that way I showed you and create your application. Now, back to what we are doing today. So the ACL, for you to edit any ACL to work on it, You have to have an elevated, you have to elevate your role. When you elevate your role, it give you security admin. Now they are admin and there's security admin. Now the only difference between admin and security admin is, as an admin without security admin privilege, you cannot work on Excel. That's the first thing. You can't work on ACL at all. But if you elevate your role, your security admin, you'll be able to edit ACL. Now, um, so the reason I'm bringing this up is because I have created group, right? I created group. I'm just going to pin it down because I'll be using it a lot. So, and if I want to pin it down, guys, what should I do? By the side of it, there's what they call favorite. Use as favorite. So I'm going to pin this one, use as favorite. Depend on if you want it to go top level default and all that. I mean, I just click, but depend on what you're creating, what you're doing, how you use it often, you can do that. So I'm just going to do these three so that anytime I'm working, I just go to favorite and all those things I want to just come up. I also want to um, make access control my favorite also because I'm going to be working on it. Yeah, what else do I need again? So user role group. All right, so these are the three things I will need. The other ones are impersonation. Now I want to explain the table dot none, the table dot asterisk, and also the table dot field, so you can understand it properly, right? Okay, so if I go to my favorites and I go to the group, now this is the storyline, because everything in service now, what you're doing is you're working on a story, right? And there's a story to tell when you're trying to create something or you're working on something. There's a story, also there's a story involved. Now, what's my storyline? I have two departments in my company, right? One is infrastructure, another one is IT support. Under IT support, they have ITL role, ITL admin, and they have this use U underscore holographic handheld HHD user role, right? They have three members, guys. They have Alan, Ali, Ella, and Elisa in this group. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open another one. I'll open another tab, and I'm going to go back to this my group again, and I have IT support, right? IT support. Now you can see. Oh, no, it was IT support I opened the first time, so I need to open another one. Okay, go back to the same group. So you can see, because they are my favorite, it's easy. I don't have to go and search afresh again. So guys, if you are working on a table, for instance, you are creating table, and you know you go back and front, you just pick the things that are important and make them your favorites so that you don't have to search. That's the best way to work, right? You can cut your time by working like that. So we are assuming we're in a working environment now. What are you going to do? If I'm working on this particular thing and this is a routine task, for instance, make it your favorite, makes work easy. So I have infrastructure, and this infrastructure, I have what? How many rows? Take note, this is HRO admin. And this other one, IT support, what do they have? They just have HRO, just users, they have user role. But this one has what? Admin role. Now, how many people are in that group? There are just two people in that group. Stay with me, guys. We're going somewhere. Now, with these two, if for instance, I try to restrict them, so if we go now and check, what can Abraham see? Now, this is my table also. I'll bring down my table. Here's my table. And I've told you, if you're looking for anything and it's difficult for you to find, you type your name, for instance, use your name to find, it did not show. Just go back to this is where you can breadcrumbs, this is where you can run a search. So these are few things that we just need to know. When you have an and or, it's just like saying bread and butter, right? So for me to, if I use that word bread and butter, that you want to buy something from a shop and you tell them, I need you to sell me bread and butter. If they give you bread without the butter, they are wrong, right? Because what you requested is bread and butter. So the two condition must be met for them to have done the right thing. But if I go to a shop, I said, I place an order. I said, just give me bread or butter. If they bring only bread, they are right. If they bring butter, they are right. If they bring bread and butter, the order is right. So that is just what it means. So when you're making a search, if these conditions are not met, it will not trigger anything. But if these conditions are met, say it should be user should be active, right? Then you might say group should be this. Once those two conditions are met in and, everything will display. But in all, whichever one of them that is available, everything will display. So that's just the and all, guys, just in case you missed out on it. Now, I'm going to click on this one. It's not extended from any table. This is what I created. This is what I did for you guys. And I said, we should all go and work on. This is my form, right? This is the form I create. And this is similar assignment I gave you guys. So now device name and all that. If you want to edit, I'm just doing a brief revision also why I hit on what I want you guys to do the assignment, right? I really want you guys to do the assignment. Now, if I go to my form builder, just a quick one. Under my form builder, you will be surprised that I have so many. So you can have a component, for instance. So for the first part, you can see there is a merger here. I merge these two together. So I'm just going to, yes, I merged those two together. Now look at my form. You see, this is a long column here, right? And there are intermediary, there are small ones here within this. I can't just do that everything once. So what I did is, when you click on new session, you add a session to it, right? When you add a session, and inside this one, you can add a field. So there are two. It's either you add a session or you add field. Now you can merge sessions together. So because I merged this, and inside this section, you can see there is one column. If you want to have this kind of design, you need a one column. You don't need two. But the moment I click on two from here now, I come to this place now, and I click on two. You can see it's going to create a this two column pattern for me. But if I don't want, I take it back to one. That is why we get this one column. So you, in terms of creating your table, you just have to understand the architectural how it works basically, and how you want it presented, right? So if you look at it, because I made this place a two column, like this particular section is on two column, you can see that's why it is designed this way, and you can change them anyhow. You can move it back whichever way you want. It's user friendly. You have least use of code. You don't have to use code for form builder, right? You want to add a field, you come here, click on add. If you know that the field is here, you can pick on the field. Now you can see even related dot work. So for instance, you have user. So I'm not too, I did not use so this one, if you check it, basically user assigned reference. Now if you pick this one, you're just referencing the user. So it's going to be a user table that's going to be referenced there, all the user table. So they've already created most of all these things for you out of the box, right? Now, even this place, email field, if you go to email field now, you can see there's a dot working there already. So you can decide to move it down. When you move it down, you can see it will tell you where are you dot working from. Do you understand? So it tells you where you are dot working from. If you say the email, you add a view. So you see dot working from a user table. That's already told you the table already. So this is how to, you can also use your dot work here because they are designed already. They're out of the box waiting for you. So guys, do well to take your time. Sorry, Tony, do you have any question? Okay, we'll carry on. So you can create anything, but if you want to get this design I have, you have to join them, guys. You have to merge. So this is a session on its own. This 5 is a session on its own. This email is a session on its own. These 2 columns is a session on its own. This one is just one session, right? So take note of that. Then if you want to add related field, you can put them behind here if you have that kind of user story, that kind of request. Now, mind you, you're not building things for yourself. You are building things based on the user story, based on what you are given, based on what you are asked to do, based on your tasks. Okay, so I believe I've made some clarification. I've tried to resolve 1 or 2 bottlenecks that you guys must have been going through, but you can check the video also for more understanding. So now the story I was trying to tell was if this guy, Abraham Lincoln, right? Um, Tony, can you mute yourself, please? Hello, Tony. Can you mute yourself, please? All right. So if we check, we go to the table that we've had, right? This table. No, I just want to go back to the table. No, not this one. Yes, go back to this table. So you go to your history, you go to table, right? Now, under this table, you will see that I have this field. These are read, create, delete, and write. Meaning that if infrastructure have this role, right? They have this role, and IT have this particular role. Now, mind you, there are 2 different roles. Now, on that role, I want you all to see the connection, how everything is all connected. Now, under your role, when you create a role, right, you need to add it to an application, a module. I think the module is even the cocoa, is the most important part of it because that is where it gives you a linkage to your table. Because how would you connect it to a table if it's not through the module? So the way you connect it to it, the linkage you get is through the module, right? You can see at this particular one, we have create, we have what? This one is just a list view. Now that tells you that that module is basically the things that are created in that table. So how the table functions properly. Now, from that module, you can see the list view. From that module, you can see it can lead you to how to create a form, right? So those basic things that you need from your table, they go to your module. Yeah, they go to your models. So now you can see I have a model for this one and it's linked to my table. So if you are asked to create a role, When you create a role, you have to add that module. You have to add that role that you created. So you see, this is a role I created, right? It's called title. This is the title name, and this is the role that was created. It's a custom application, right? Now I had to create what? First of all, I had to create an application menu. After I created an application menu for it, application menu is just adding this particular application. So first of all, I create an application menu for it. So if you go to this place, new, you see, you just put a name and you attach it. That is all. So after that, you go to your module and you do that. Now, the essence of these things is this is what is going to allow these people to have access to that information that you are sharing. If they don't have the roles, they cannot access it. So now with this, we've seen that I have a table, first of all. All right, so these are the roles. So when you create a role, and obviously, when you create a role, they will give you all this information to impute. You are not going to create a role using your knowledge. Do you get? So you don't even have to worry about most of the information because they are given to you in your user story. All right, but I just for a clarity purpose so that we all have an understanding of where I'm driving at, the story I'm trying to tell. Now, so if these two departments, these two teams have different set of roles, right? What will that mean if I say table.none? When I say table.none, the simple explanation is if I am Moses, right? I am in IT department, and there's a rule that table.none for all IT table, meaning that if you don't have that role under table.none, I'm the only one that can see it. But any other person without that role cannot have any visibility to that table. So if you check ACLs, whenever you go to ACL, it's always on table.none, meaning that only people with that rule can access it. So everything, that's a default. The default is always on table.none. Do you get? Always on table.none. But when you go further to table.asterisk, meaning that anybody that does not have that role, right, cannot access that table. Now, table.none, you can still find something to click. But on table.asterisk, if you don't have the role, you might have a table.none, but you can have a read different access role. There, you will not be even able to, when they say read in access control list, you're saying you have visibility. When they say write, it means you can update, right? So you have a table already, you want to change something, you can update it. When they say create, it means you cannot fill a form, because when you fill a form, that is the create. And delete, basically delete. You have to, that one is still delete. Delete is delete. So I want to go back to my, yeah, so this is it now. This is the first one. I'm going to work with create. So what happened here is this. I said under my ACL access control, type is record. You can see I don't have access here because I need to elevate my role for me to edit ACL, like I said in the first when we started the class. So if I elevate my role, you see that all these things will be editable for me. That is an ACL on its own, telling you that you only have read access to this place. you cannot edit it, you cannot update it, you cannot write, take note. In a situation like this, is what we call read access. And the only permission you are giving is just to read. You cannot create, you cannot what? Edit, update, which is right, and you cannot delete. You see, there's nothing for me to delete. I can't do anything here. So the only access I have is read access. So you need to understand what access you have. While you are working as an administrator and you try to do something, it tells you already know the kind of access you have based on this explanation. So you know what is read access only. Oh, uh, about this folder, I can't do anything on it. If someone gives you a job and say, Moses, give you a user story. Oh, this is a user story. You need to create ACL. So quickly, you won't waste time now. You just go check the application menu, type ACL, click ACL. When you get there, you cannot even create ACL. Okay, let's go on. Let's check it. Let's see for ourselves. So, for instance, just don't say I have a user story that involved me creating ACL, right? So I just went straight to ACL. I could not find any new action here. Now, if they are trying to even test you, they will just want to know if you understand access control list. Now, because you understand it, what would you tell your manager or whoever gave you such a task? Ah, hello manager, I don't have access. I don't have create access to that ACL list. The only access I have is just read access. Now, he is going to know that you've actually been working in that field. It can be an example, an interview question. Do you get, guys? So you need to understand the why, not just, oh, it's click, click, click. It's a click, click, click. There's a manual for you to even go through. It's called doc. There's a document for you to go through that you can read everything. But they want to know if you understand what you are doing, why you're doing it. It's very important. So I'm always keen on the why, not what we do. I'm keen on the why we do it. But that's what helps, right? So guys, that is for that. Now, when we check that, we cannot edit anything, we can't do anything here, we can't create. So the only thing we can do is just to read. Now, when we go to create, you can see that under create, this is the row. You can add a row to this. So if I come down to this place, I can't edit it obviously, but if I elevate myself, elevate row, and I update, right? You always see a sign on top of your admin here, on top of your face or your user menu. You see a sign on top of it showing that your role has been elevated. Now you can see, guys, I have access to edit. But because this record has been created, I didn't create the record. I have only read access on the type. I can't change the type, even if I elevate my role. The only things I can change is the operation, right? You can also change the type, decision type. You can change your decision type. You can also change the field you want to work on. Now, by default is on none. None just means it's only those that have this row and have access, right? So I'm going to make this other I'm going to make this other row. I'm going to make this other ACL inactive. I'll make this one inactive so we can all get one or two things from. Now look at it, guys. Can you see the row we have here? It's called HR admin. Now this one is called HR user. So if I make this first one, this HR admin, I make this one because I said asterisk. I make this one inactive and I save. I update it. I'll come back again and make it active, right? Now, mind you, on your menu, right? On that your menu we created, when you go back to your menu that we created, that's your role. So if we go back to your role, right? Under your role, we have this user. You can see HR user. Under HR user, right? What access does he have first of all? Look at the access it has. It has access to see which record, to see this record. So take note, this is the record that it has access to, first of all. Holographic, um, answered HHD, right? Which is this table, which is this table. All right, which is this table. So you can see the name, you can see the service name, I call it, like the sys name for this particular label. It creates a system. Now, this is the table you can see, right? Exactly. So these are things you watch out for, because if you don't put them well, you will miss the when you're trying to make that kind when you're trying to explain that, it will not reflect properly. You won't get the required output. So I have showed you that this is the roles that they have. So this is the role, this is the ACL, first of all. So you have seen that for read access to create, the only person that have rights to create, this one is inactive now, that's why it's false. The only one that have rights to create, right? First of all, is just this person. Anybody that has this role that can create. So by default, too, like I said, is none. So if we check, it does not mean that these people on IT, what they call them, on IT support that have admin, that they will not see this menu. As long as they have this role, look at it. As long as they have this role attached to them, they will be able to see it. They will be able to see a list view, but they cannot create. It will be read only access to them. Am I? Are you getting my explanation, guys? All right, so let's carry on. So that's why I'm opening different tabs so that you can actually have you understand what I'm. So when I go to the other part of the explanation, it's going to be easy for everyone to just grab what we are doing. So the last part of it, I'm going to open the rows. I'm just going to open the other rows, so we see both rows, see what access they have there. Then we'll know. Okay, so this is the first one I opened. So I've opened this one now. All right, so you can see what the access they have. They have access to see the same word, holographic, and LHHD. Now, this is just saying in a company, loads of people can have access to a table. But with ACL, you can control what they can do with that table. That is just the simple explanation. So this, I'm just going to bring this one closer. This is you, this row, no, not this one. This is ACL. Okay, so I want to, this is a table. All right, so this is the last one I'll open. All right, so for this one, this is the row. So I want to open another one. I want to open the other row. So this is the other row, guys. And this is the what they have, the application menu, and this is the row they have. So this is what they can what do. So if I click on this one, you can see the table. Look at the table that they are assigned to, and look at the table that this one is also assigned to. Can you see, guys? They are the same table. Both of them, they are assigned to that table, right? That is one. So I've made that. I've actually um, created that fact first of all. Now, this is the table we are working on, right? And also, this is the list view that we have for that same table. Now, This is the access control for create, right? That's the access control for create. Now, we've not used this one yet. I've not touched on this one. This one is still the access control for create user. Now, this one is for users. So the create, this is the same thing with this one, where you have a record for create, right? And also, okay, I've opened this one already. This was I showed you guys how to create a menu bar. And for this one, it just tells you about the group and structure. That is the group I created, and this is the role that this group have. Now, this one is also the role that this group have. So 4 facts have been established. The first fact is I have 2 groups, one IT support and one infrastructure. Both of them are assigned, they are all linked to one particular table, which is this table, right? Which is this table. They are all linked to this table, right? Now, this is what the role contain, right? They are aligned to this table. Now, if I want to impersonate, so this is what impersonation, this is how impersonation come in. Now, this member rang you as an administrator and said, I cannot have I can only see a list. Oh, I have a task of creating new um new template, right? But I can only see the list, but I cannot create it. So these are things that your day-to-day job as a ServiceNow administrator. These are things you will work on. If you have the knowledge, you know exactly where to go. You know what to look for. So if Alan reached out to me, now mind you, what role does Alan have? Alan have this role, HHD user. Now, and what did I say on my create? I said for anybody to be able to create, he must have this user, not HR admin. He must have just user. Now, but for my infrastructure guys, they have only admin. Now, Abraham reached out and said, I cannot do anything on it. Now let's go and check what can Abraham see. So I first check my okay, I've not it's not elevated. Now I go to impersonate. So I impersonate Abraham. Impersonate. Now this is what Abraham instance. Impersonation only gives me a view of the problem that was reported so that I can go and fix it. I will know the issue and know how to work on it. You can have a test exam question on this also. So somebody is complaining that he's been given permission, he's been given a task to create um to he's given a task to create a form, right? But when he gets there, he cannot create anything, right? So now let's check, go to all, and we click on holograph. You see, he can see holograph. Why? Because he has this role under application menu. He has this role assigned to him, and just not just the role, they are connected. They is linked to the table, so obviously you can see the menu. Now we are on about create new. Now let's click on create new. Can you see, guys? He cannot do anything here. This template is useless to him. He cannot work on it. Are you seeing it? So this is how you restrict people, so you can give people different view. Now you've seen Abraham cannot see anything here, so let's take it back. We stop impersonation. Oh, I need to open this back again. Just a minute. I would not. I'll use only one for that, so that we can have that. We'll be able to see what we're doing. So infrastructure, right? Okay, so this is now our infrastructure. This is where it should. Now you can see Abraham can, even though Abraham has access to the module because of the role that he has, I still restricted Abraham from creating a new form. Right? Now let's go back again. For the IT get the under those that are in the IT department. So we have Alan Schwantz. Now let's go to impersonate again, right? So click on this. Once you see a sign here, always check. Don't assume. Maybe it's not gone off. The elevated role is still there. Always remove it before you impersonate. Always make sure you do that before you impersonate. Now, I want to impersonate the other guys that are on IT department and see what access they have. And click on this. Now, you can see we're on Alan. Now, let's check the same table. Both of them have right visibility to the applications, right? So if I take away from the menu, under that menu, the module, right? If I remove this row that is assigned, that is attached, that is assigned to this table, if I remove the row from Allen on that menu, he will not have visibility first to the table. And if he does not have visibility, there's nothing he can do. That is first of all the problem is going to struggle with first of all, before even getting to that, I can see table. So the application menu is just like a place you can easily go and start working on, start relating on, getting to what you need, like a table and all that. So if you don't have visibility to the application menu, you can't find anything. All right, so let's go on to create. Can you guys see now? It has that read, write, create permission. That is why you can see submit at the top of that, at the right end of it. But these guys, IT department, the infrastructure department cannot, because they were not, their name, they did not have this under this place to create. There's no role for them. I did not add them to it. So the only people I added was HD what users. Those are the only people that can come here and can create, right? So we're just going to have 10 minutes break. Then when we come back, we'll just work on completing on the ACL today, guys. Just so that you have the understanding, you don't get confused when you are when you face with such challenges. You know exactly what to do and how to resolve it. So we'll just have a 10 minutes break from 5:30 to 4:30 to 4:50, and we'll come back again, right? So for those that want to go and have water, do one of the things, you can go and do it. All right, guys, we'll meet in 10 minutes time. All right, guys, just 1 minute more. So let's get ready. Okay, now, so what am I trying to get at is I just want to prove to you guys that everyone can have an access to a table, but with your ACL, you can have a row. Like you can see, they have rows to that particular. They are all assigned a row, right? But even with your row, you can use ACL to control what they can do on that particular table. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. So I'll end impersonation. Now, if you notice, there is this asterisk. No, okay. All right. I'm just going to go back to my role. So I'll go to my role now. I've ended the impersonation. I'll go to my ACL. Under my ACL, I would elevate myself so that I can work on it, like I told you guys. So that has been updated. Now, under this one, so in ACL, right, you can create another ACL and you add a new value and it will override the initial one. What do I mean? If you check, guys, you can see that there are two crates here. For the same table, they have two crates. Now, in terms of permission, we have in terms of ACL, we have three restrictions there where we have one table dot none, two table dot asterisk, and table dot field. If there's any instruction, because the ACL is an instruction, right? If there's any instruction that say check for field protection first of all, if you have a table protection and a field protection, the field protection will supersede that of the table. So it will go and check, does this person have permission to check the field first? If the answer is yes, it will let you. But if the answer comes back no, and you have access to the table, you will not be able to do anything. So I'm just going to show you that. Now, if you can see, there's an asterisk here. So look at the name, it's different, right? I'm just going to bring it closer to this place. Yeah. So it was inactive before. So I'm going to make it active now. I'll change it to active and I would update. I would update, right? Oh, quickly back to ACL. Let's go back to my ACL again. No, I'll come here. So I've updated it now, right? So it's now active. Now, guys, what does this place say? What access does it have and what role is it giving? It's giving what HRO admin role, right? So I want to ask a question. I need you all guys to just, from what we've talked about, see if you can understand what the question is about. Now, this role says user, and the other one say admin, right? And from there, your group IT support, they have which role? User role. And your infrastructure, what role do they have? Admin role. That part has been created, right, guys? Now, under your crate, you have user. But now I had to create a new ACL and put asterisk, right? So that you can understand now, I put asterisk. But the person I gave the permission to be able to create, even with the asterisk, is only somebody with this HRO admin. Are you getting me? HR admin. Now, look at what is going to play out. So we are going to impersonate those people again. The guys we just impersonated before, we're going to impersonate both of them. Now, with this asterisk, everything has changed. One has create the initial table. One has ability to create table initially. But when I moved over with the table dot asterisk, the one that had initial permission to create table does not have again to create. So he cannot fill any form. He cannot create a new role. He cannot create any, he cannot fill any form again. Don't know why I'm missing the word. So when you fill the form, you create a list. So you cannot create a list again, right? So let's go. So we'll click on end impersonation first. So we always check. Make sure you are not on an elevated row, because if you impersonate with your elevated row, it's just like you're giving full access to someone that doesn't need it. So I'm back there. So I'm going to go back again to impersonate user. So first of all, Lincoln. Mind you, Lincoln is on what? Which of them? Is on infrastructure, and he has this role. Right now, look at what Lincoln can do. So if I go back to my holograph, you can see there is this create here. Now, when you click on create, you see Lincoln initially, Lincoln could not do anything. Lincoln could not create a new form. Why? You come back here. This is why I had to open all these things down so that we can understand them one by one. Now, this is what Lincoln has. Lincoln has admin access, right? He has admin access. And now, under asterisk, Lincoln now has admin access under the asterisk. So it means Lincoln should be able to create, right? Because he's the one that has this role. But the reason Lincoln cannot create is because the initial role, which is this first create, the initial ACL that was created for this table, is anyone that has a user role. So because Lincoln do not have this, was not included, does not have this, they did not include Lincoln on this ACL, Lincoln cannot have access to still create, even if he is given, if they need that role particularly for him to create. Now let's check IT support. What role do they have? They have user role. So obviously they should be able to create. But because when I created another ACL with the asterisk is like you restrict people. It's another form of restriction. So we have table restriction, we have field restriction, we have column restriction, and we have role restriction. You get? So now, if you are using table.none, means anybody cannot, first of all. That's for the whole table. Now, when you go to a row, when you now move a bit further, you're now moving out from that restriction. So you can see that I cannot even create anything. Now, what can Allen or any of these people in this group do? Let's go and check. So we end this impersonation. Excuse me. We end this impersonation. Now we impersonate the other person now. Allen, any of them. So let's just go with Alan. So we impersonate Alan. Now, when Alan comes here, you see, Alan has everything on the menu also. But let's click on create. You see, Alan has submit, right? Alan has submit, but these places are blank. Do you know why? It has submit, but all here are blank. This is the reason. Because the initial create, those group do not have any of this row. So you can see where it's all coming up now. That as long as you don't have all the rows there, you can restrict anybody. Now, but this one has the initial row to create. But because when I included asterisk, it cannot submit because the submit is taken out. It cannot create a new form again. You cannot create anything there, right? So that is how you use ACL to manipulate, how to control access. Now, if I want to allow this guy, Allen, to have access, so we'll go to Allen. Allen has which of the rows? You can see it has only user row. Now, if I give Allen this row, admin row, the group, if I give that group admin row, so let's see what will happen when I give them admin row. So first of all, before I do anything, I have to go and end the impersonation. Mind you, when you open different tabs, does not mean they are not all together, they are not in sync, because you need to refresh, make sure you end the impersonation before you carry on with what you're doing. If not, you're going to be working on Allen, right? Because you've impersonated Allen already. So I have to end impersonation when I'm done. Now I'll go back to my IT and I want to give them a row. So I click on edit and I add u underscore and I add this row to them. Just add it and click save. So now Allen has this group has the two rows. It has Allen in it, Eli and Alisa, right? So now I'm going to go back now. Let's impersonate them again. Because most times this is what you will do. It will be your job. People will come and complain, I don't have access. I cannot access this folder. I cannot access this other folder. I cannot access this folder. You have to know where to check. Right? You have to know where to check. That's going to give you the confidence to say someone reached out to you, you know exactly what to do. Oh, you don't have you can only see, right? Can you read it? He said, yes, I can read. Can you edit it? He said, no, I cannot edit it. And you have the permission. You sure you have the permission for you to edit? Mind you, when it comes to things like this, you don't approve anything. You don't add people to any. You have to be given instruction for you to add ACL to people, right? So that's why they always put them in group, because you know that you are not giving it to an individual. All right, so let's click on Allen. Who's calling? Who's calling? How do you verify who's calling? It depends on your. So obviously you have a user story, right? And saying, if I understand your question clearly, you have the user story. Whoever is going to reach out to you will be from a department that has a challenge and they want it resolved. So they're going to come via a departmental way route. You, the manager, it will be a flow. Might be a flow, and it will get to you with the query. It's going to come in a query method, right? So you get the query, and that's when you work on it. Now, this is Allen. Let's see what Allen can do. Go back to Holo. All right. Now, if you click on create, you see now it now has permission to work on, to impute, to create, and you also have this action button, submit, right? So that is just an explanation that you can use ACL to what control what people can see. Now I'm going to take it off now. I'm going to end this impersonation. It's just the last one, which is table.none. Table.none. So if you so what I told you guys is, first of all, table.none is what? Table restriction. Table.asterisk is what? field restriction. And the last one we're going to work on now is table dot the field, a particular field, right? That's what we're going to work on now. So if I go back, I've gone back to this, so I will elevate my rule again. We're almost done with the access now. This is the last part of it. So I've elevated my role. Now, if you see this one, we've used asterisk now. Now I want to change it. I want to change it to, I don't want anybody without this role. So anybody that is not in this department, I don't want them to be able to change the email. Or maybe we're having issues with versions in the company. People are being dodgy of the version. So everybody, because they can easily change there's a fault count and it's affecting their KPI, right? There's a job affecting your KPI, and you know that the fault count determines what you have done. So people can adjust the fault count. I can say, okay, it's only the person that is going to judge, like going to assess all their job, that can. I don't even want to give anybody permission apart from like the people that are going to assess you, so that they can see everything. They are the only one that can see that part. That's why most times when people commit fraud, they know somebody up there also that can help them. So the person that has the permission now can help them change the fault count, but they themselves cannot change it. All right, so let's go to fault count, for instance, and make fault counts. We're using table.fault count, which is a particular field, right? Now see what happens on it. Now when we click on update, just click update, right? Now I'm going to do something. I'll go back to this IT, right? I will take away back this which role as infrastructure have. Infrastructure has okay admin. So I'll take out this admin role so that we can understand what is happening. So I take out this admin role and I save. So guys, we're going to go back again. Now we check it clearly. What do we have? We have that you for create, we've restricted it to a particular field. So I just need to open this one first. Okay. All right, guys, you can see what I did. So I make it a specific field, which is fault counts, right? And look at the row that has been assigned. So whoever have this row should be allowed to edit these fault counts. They can see these fault counts. Well, if you don't have this row, you can fill your form, but this fault count will not be visible for you to do anything. So let's come back here and see how it works and see how it works. So I go to elevate row, take it off completely. It's refresh. So I come back again. And now, mind you, this team has what user. And who are these team people? Allen. So let's check Allen first. So we'll start with Allen and see. Allen is the IT team. So under Allen, what can they do? So holographic. Now, when we go to create, take note. Can you see that this place is blank for Allen? Allen cannot do anything about it. So if this place auto-populates normally, Allen cannot do anything. It's just going to show that this is what is happening there. Right? He can only view it. He cannot edit it. So that is for Allen. Now, if we stop impersonating Allen, and we come down to Abraham. So when you go to create, like I told you, because he does not have that initial access, which is this one, right? It's still affecting him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the impersonation for Allen and give Allen the role that he needs. Okay, so I'll give Allen back that role which I removed from him initially. All right, so let's go and impersonate Allen now. So for Allen, you can see he can edit. Why? Because he has that role. But if you take away the role from him, when you go aesthetic for a party, only this field, it's only anybody with that particular role that can edit it. Every other person that don't have that role will not be able to edit it. Same for view, for read. If you go to a list, you want to check on a list, for instance, you can restrict people from seeing a different field, just like this. On a view, if you put an access on a field, only people with that role can access that. Have I Do you really understand everything right now about the access control list, how it works? Do you guys have any question? No one is saying anything, guys. Is there any question? All right. If you are all cool, then we'll go over to oh, Jackson. What do you say? You can't speak. Oh. Okay, you said none. All right, that's good. Okay, so because we have backlog, I would have loved to go 1 more hour to make some like to cover up for some time, but I don't want to increase what I'm teaching where we have people have backlog to sort out, right? So please, let's just try and help ourselves. You're not just helping me because obviously I have my knowledge to myself. You're trying to get your knowledge for yourself. But we're building a community for ourselves, right? Now, the basic thing here is try. I'm not going to give you any assignments for now. I'm not giving any assignments. I'm not going to add more burden on you guys. I'm not going to increase your tax. What I just need from you guys is go and watch the videos. Watch the videos. The assignments, they are there. I need the assignments sorted. I need to see um I need to see how motivated you guys are about what you're trying to learn. And the few things I can say is I get loads of interviews, loads of job adverts, people reaching out to me on LinkedIn. That's when you are done with this course. The next thing we have to do is we have to go and create a nice and structured LinkedIn profile. That's where you're going to get people reaching out to you. People are going to just go. That's what they do most times. They go through LinkedIn. They just go through LinkedIn and check how many developers do we have here. I want to. You just reach out. They send you messages and tell you you need to apply for this job. Most times you don't go begging for jobs. If I at least I shared most of my the some invites I get on the WhatsApp. I get them steady. People just check, say that the first thing they write is, oh, we check LinkedIn and your profile fits the job. Do you get me? Now, before you get to that part, try and work on these things because these are things that when people have a conversation with you on the phone and ask you, oh, you've been a service now admin for XY number of years, right? Yes. What have you done? Now, because of all these things we are doing, all these assignments you are doing, you have something to speak off your head. You don't have to think. There's something already there for you. So I believe this I've talked about this from the beginning of the video, so it's enough. I'm not going to go back again and start um, repeating everything again. And I'm just trying to encourage you guys, right? The way to move forward is by acting now. It's not wait for later. It's not try to make yourself lazy. If there's anything you're doing right now that's taking your time, reduce it. If it's not giving you this productivity you need, you have a target, man. You need to make this work. And it's possible. It's very, very possible. Right? Thank you guys. So just use your time right now. I should have gone in 1 more hour, but I want you guys to finish up what we have. So don't forget the next class, when you come, we'll talk about what we've done. Someone will explain what they've done. Everybody will speak. Right? Everybody will say something about the class, about what they've learned, so that you start talking, gives you the confidence. We have to build this confidence now. So with that, we'll call it quits. We'll close the class for today. Thanks for those guys that joined new. For those new joiners, the best way for you to start is we have a YouTube channel. So on the YouTube channel, I'm going to drop that there. And also for the assignment, don't paste your assignment on WhatsApp for me, please. Send them as a mail, right? That is easy, so that we don't fill the WhatsApp with loads of stuff, right? And I don't even want people seeing your work. Assignment is meant for me to mark, right, and assess you. Do you get? So if I don't get back to you on time, two things, right? It means I've seen your work, and what I want to use to test it, just like those that did their table, created the table and created the form for me. The way to test them was to use their data input. I'll give you data to input, and once you input it, snap it. Whatever report you get, you snap it. That will tell me if you did it properly or you did not do it properly, right? So there are methods I will use to check your assignment. I don't have to just get back to you immediately and say, oh no, you get. There are things I will need to assess. Anybody can screenshot this thing from anywhere and send for me, right? So I need to check it that you really did it properly, you did it the right way. So I'm going to be doing that to check all the assignments that you guys are doing. And for assignments, we have a mail. For those that just joined, like I said, we have a YouTube channel. Go to the YouTube channel, watch the videos, right? Watch the videos, subscribe. Just subscribe, click on the subscribe button, follow us. We're on Instagram. We're on Instagram also. You can go to our Instagram page. You can follow up on our Instagram page. You can drop your comment about how the class is going so far. If you're benefiting from it, if it's helping you, if it's making you achieve your required upskill which you're about to do, and all that. Those words are encouraging. They're going to help us, make us grow, and all that, guys. So thank you so much. I think this are basic information you need if you're a new starter. Just go there and you check. If you're concerned about the assignment, we have an admin on the WhatsApp group. Drop the admin a message, say I want assignment. Yeah, they're going to get back to you and get to you the assignment and all that. Without any further discussion, guys, have a nice week ahead of us. Yeah, enjoy your week.